Good afternoon, everybody, or at least good afternoon if you are in Europe. Good evening if you are in Australia. Welcome to the Apteco Q4 2025 software release webinar. It feels very last year, doesn't it, to be talking about Q4 2025. But in the grey days of January 2026, we can look back to the excitement that we had at Apteco Live at the end of last year. And if you're thinking the weather's a bit grey, it's all a bit dismal, well, I'm here to entertain and inform you. I'm going to try and keep you engaged for the next hour. And certainly those of you in Europe and are thinking it's all a bit wet and snowy, just think about our team in Australia. Stephen Aid reported this morning it's 43 degrees Celsius in Sydney, so it's pretty hot. You've got to be careful what you wish for. So yeah, I'm James Alty, founder and MD of Apteco. I'm going to be your host for the next hour. We're going to cover a variety of topics. We typically present our work as connect, analyze, target, and campaign. But actually this time I've got a surprise for you. So if we look at the connect area, we have shipped the capability to add custom attributes to our CDP, to add permissions and suppressions to the CDP. We've added Amazon Redshift as a data source. So if you've got data in Redshift, which is a column store, just like the Apteco column store, you can now pull data in natively into Apteco. In the analyze area, we've provided profile tiles in Orbit in the last quarter. We've had profiling in the Apteco desktop products, FastStats, for years and years and years, but we've enhanced the experience. You now can lay out your profile report with summary and detailed tiles, as we'll see a bit later on. We've enhanced the pattern matching, one of the most powerful parts of FastStats, allowing you to look at patterns of transactions over time. We've got some enhancements there. We, in the targeting area, or analytics area, we've enhanced our cubes by allowing you to filter both the measures that are counting in a particular cell and the dimensions that do the rows and columns on the cube, so you can control what is displayed. And we've given you the ability to create custom ordering of otherwise nominal categories. Some of our variables are known to be ordered, or they're known as ordinal variables. Things like dates and values and banded values are ordinal. Other things are nominal. Those are things like occupations or source codes, product codes. They don't have a natural sequence. You can now specify a sequence to help you pick the best records. We, in the campaign area, have added the ability to add voucher uploads. We've added 16 beautiful journey builder templates to Orbit campaign, and we've improved Apteco emails bot interaction detection. Now, all of that is content that I discussed and demoed at Apteco Live, and so I'm not going to repeat myself. We're going to show some new things today, but all of that material is available, and later on I'll show you how to get to the recording of Apteco Live if you weren't lucky enough to be there in person at BFI. Then we have recordings of those sessions, and we will steer you to those both today and through the resource we're going to distribute after the webinar. And we are already in the process of booking the venue for next year's Apteco Live, sorry, this year's, the next Apteco Live 2026. Remember, you can always look at what's new on apteco.com, go to the What's New page, and the PDF we're going to send you includes a link on that Explore More button, which will help you see what's latest in Apteco. And remember, you can go to help.apteco.com at any time to get the latest help. And actually, I could have put a screenshot in here because we're just about to revamp the Orbit section of that to be a more coherent single help area so that you can search everything to do with Orbit all in one go. Chris and Reese, our technical authors, have been working hard on that, and we'll be deploying that in about 2 weeks' time, towards the end of the month. So look out for an improvement to the arrangements of the Orbit Help Hub. And again, the button will give you a link to there. Remember, we have on-demand training courses. I've joked before, we've got a beautiful training centre downstairs. No one wants to come and sit in a training room anymore, certainly since COVID. And so our training team now have a recording studio, and we have recorded course material that you can try. Some of it's available free of charge, some of it is paid course material. And if you pay to access that, you can use your own pace. You can do it all in one day, or you can spread it over up to 30 days to access that course material. So have a look at that if you want training on the Apteco platform. Now, I'm going to take you through the topics that I just summarized in the introduction. So we have custom attributes that let you store additional data next to the customer record in the CDP. Or next to specific contact points. And an example is you may research and need to know pet name or pet type. We don't have that as part of our standard data model. You can now add that as custom data attributes. We also have a powerful mechanism for applying permissions and suppressions to contact points, so you can determine which individuals you are able to contact through different channels, and we will keep that as a compliance record, so you can show how you knew that you were permitted to email or WhatsApp or phone call to that particular individual, for example. So built into the CDP is this ability to create your permissions and suppressions. We don't predetermine it. You can declare the permissions and suppressions that you want to maintain. I've mentioned already Redshift, a new data source that you can pull into the Apteco platform through Connect. Whether or not you're using the Apteco CDP component as part of Orbit Connect, you can use Redshift to pull data in, and that joins the other rich data sources you can see on the right hand side there with Postgres, Snowflake, SQL, and Salesforce. So and Dynamics. You can use all of those, as well as delivering files through S3 buckets or uploading them, for example. So we're just adding more power to the Orbit Connect capability to populate data. In the analyze area, I've mentioned profile tiles. There are two types. I demoed them at Apteco Live. You can provide detail or summary tiles. Summary tiles might be used to see a summary of the predictive power or the ability to measure the characteristics by certain variables, or by the categories of those variables. So you can highlight which variables are most predictive and which categories of those variables are most predictive. The detailed tiles are able to show all the categories of a particular variable and show you the under or over representation of those categories for the analysis group compared with the base group. So the two sets of data that you are comparing. And in a change since Apteco Live, we now have the ability to select on the categories on a detailed tile. So you can now manually select from those tiles to create a filter that you can then use as part of your targeting to create an audience, for example. There are lots of display options showing indexing or A/B analysis versus base comparison, or market penetration, visualizations of the profile result. And the great thing is you get to lay out the profile as you wish. It can span multiple tabs in your dashboard. And we're just working on making the analysis filter user amendable, so that you can create a standard dashboard and allow your users to change what data they are profiling. They might be looking at a particular campaign and want to switch to a different campaign, a particular product, and want to change that to a different product, and so on. And that allows you to produce profiles easy to use, easy to present. You can export them beautifully as PDFs, share them with your management team, and explain the characteristics of the particular sets of customers that you are looking at. So that's as demonstrated. In Fostats, pattern matching has been extended. We keep working on this, and if you went to Chris and Ray's focus group session at Apteco Live, you saw some of the many options that have been added into behavioural modelling and pattern matching, and we continue to work on this. So, for example, you can now specify a relative or percentage difference to a previous transaction. So in the screenshot at the top of the screen, the pattern called T1 looks for a transaction that is worth more than £300, and then a percentage change of more than 10% increase on that value, and then a further percentage increase on the first value. So the value number one, shown in squiggly brackets, rather than referencing a change on the previous value. So you're referencing back to number one. And you can see in the green highlights, the top one, £342 is greater than 300. 540 is more than 10% greater than that, as are 724 and 2074, for example. That one actually has increasing values all the way through. Each of them is more than 10% bigger than the previous. But the lower example, you can see a big step up from 325 to 1100, but then the item 524, £524, is smaller than the previous, but is, as required, more than 10% bigger than the pattern position number one, and so on. So lots of flexibility in there, and we see users operating this sort of pattern matching to identify customer behavior that's useful for targeting. And as you can see, we can also now specify minimum and maximum days. That actually came out of some work in Australia looking at transactions that occurred approximately monthly. So you're trying to find things that are happening monthly. Now, because months have different numbers of days, it isn't a case of saying exactly 28 days or exactly 13 weeks since the last transaction. You want a slight range. So lots of power. We also can now reference relative dates. The example here is looking at today backwards by 1 month. And Chris has shaded the image so we can see what is before in green and what is after in orange. And you can see the pattern, it's called S5, looks for a value, then any value, then references today, then a different value, then a third value, and then references today. So it's looking for the first two transactions can be the same, but the second and third transaction, third and fourth transactions, references question mark 2 and question mark 3 have to be different values. So the point is we're referencing relative to that. So more power in pattern matching. In terms of targeting, you will find when you are creating an orbit audience and you've got a limit and you want to order, you can now do an N per limit and then choose the categories and choose the sequence in which you wish to pick them. In practice, we're picking from the top down, and then everything else that is unspecified is used to fill in the remainder if there's any more needed, for example. So you can pick, in this case, from a region variable by the look of it, and specifying a sequence to pick north and northwest in preference to other regions. So sort of functionality that you may have used in FastStats in the past, now available in Orbit. Similarly on cubes, and again demonstrated at Apteco Live, you can now filter dimensions and measures, and so you can choose which records are included in the aggregation in a cell measure. So if you're adding up or averaging, you can determine which rows contribute to that aggregate. You can choose which dimension values are filtered. But you can also now export the whole of the cube. So you can export the full cube, even if you've had to restrict what's displayed on the dashboard, for example, to get it to fit in a cell. You can now export the whole cube. And that request came from one of our resellers in the United States who wanted to be able to output the whole cube, even though screens typically give a bit more of a constraint. So again, I think I showed that at Apteco Live. In campaigning, I showed the ability to upload voucher codes, and in fact, we were asked questions at Apteco Live, and one of those was whether the demo I'd done, which had 100 voucher codes in one file, 100 in the next, or 1,000 and 1,000, I don't remember the exact, that wasn't showing a limit. That was just me generating some sample data. You can upload big files with lots of voucher codes, and we will process those in turn as you output data. In fact, you can see in the lower part of that screenshot a new offer voucher code with over 1 million voucher codes ready to use. So those are unique codes, typically used to create a personal URL or an offer code of some sort that will validate a discount. And you can track usage, see how many are remaining. Also, as I showed at Apteco Live, we introduced wonderful campaign templates. These contain journeys, the journey layout, the steps, the descriptions, and links to the help of all the items that are used in that journey. So a real quick start if you want to do a birthday campaign or an abandoned basket campaign or a newsletter or whatever. We have great templates that will help you get started and may well help you and your colleagues accommodate new capabilities and learn about new capabilities in the Orbit campaign area, because we'll demonstrate them in there. And we can add templates. It's not a one-time only mechanism. We can add further templates in due course. We're considering, for example, adding sector-specific templates. They will probably be variations of the ones that we've got here, but with sector-specific language and examples in them. So we'll keep maintaining that. If you have ideas for campaign templates, remember, you can just email wishes@apteco.com to submit a wish that we will look at. We have a wish, we call it a wish list meeting. It meets every Monday afternoon to look at new wishes that have come in. So let us know how you get on with the templates, whether you want more different. And around our email, we have now got more measures around bot detection. So the email technology that we've embedded allows us to do a better job of separating real clicks from bot clicks, and to try and give you better measures of your deliverability and your engagement with your customers. You know, part of delivering an email service is that sort of rounded facility. But the thing I am going to show you today is Orin, our AI-powered insight guru, our chatbot, our generative AI assistant, your pal down from space to come and help you make use of the Apteco platform. As you know from Apteco Live and many updates over the last couple of years, we've been working hard to produce Orin, to give Orin sufficient training and guardrails and safety and repeatability and evaluation tests and guidance that Orin is useful. We regard Orin as male. Orin is a male given name of Irish descent, Irish origin. And Orin finally arrived yesterday. I said at Apteco Live we would deliver Orin by the end of the year. We only just made it. We pushed Orin to the staging platform that some of you choose to use for test instances. We pushed the staging before Christmas, and then 2 weeks later we scheduled to update Orin onto the live instance that most of your Apteco Orbit systems pick up. In fact, we held Orin back by a couple of days through an unrelated issue. We found a problem with filters on number tiles on dashboards, and we always prioritize quality. In that case, those number tiles could give wrong results, if you've edited the filter, and we wanted to correct that before pushing the update. So it's taken a few days and extra hurdles to get over to deliver you Orin, but we're going to try and have a bit of fun with Orin today. Now, you may have noticed, particularly if you are in the UK and you logged into Orbit in the last couple of weeks, you might have found that you were presented with terms of use. We've never presented terms of use in Orbit before. We've always relied on our user community having accepted our terms through the Apteco, FastStats and PeopleStage end user license agreement, or EULA. But we now have more customers who are using Orbit only, not using FastStats, not using PeopleStage, just using Orbit. And so we needed a way to present those terms. And if you look at the screen, you may see bullet point number 5 near the bottom center now explicitly references AI and Orin. And we've put a caveat into our terms asking our users to note that Orin can make mistakes. Generative AI can make mistakes. Large language models can misinterpret the intent of the language that we request. And so that was the trigger for us to include user terms in Orbit for the first time. Now, what you're presented with will depend on your license position. This is the typical user terms for somebody who's probably previously seen our end user license agreement and is now adopting what we call the Apteco software license, or ASL. You can see it highlighted in blue in the center of the screen. That's the updated and more modern version of the end user license agreement, and which we're asking you to accept. If you work with a partner who sub-licenses our technology rather than resells it, you'll get different terminology. In fact, just the clause about Orin. If you have signed the ASL as part of your procurement, you get a different language, again, adding the Orin clause. If you work with a partner who manages the terms offline in a contract, again, you'll get different variation. But the fundamental intent is the same. An agreement in plain English, or incidentally localized, so we have German versions of these for the DACH market, acknowledging that you're using licensed software, that you've got a personal user, that you're not going to share that user, that you take responsibility for checking Orin's work, that you take responsibility for any resources you choose to share through Orbit. And the Orbit sharing mechanism, as you know, is a powerful part of what we do. And we note that if you share to someone, they may get access to the Orbit system as an unlicensed user, but you remain responsible for the data that you share. We note in here about telemetry, capturing usage, and we don't capture any personally identifiable information other than just a handful of licenses that only have a single user, where clearly, because we know it's a single user license, we could associate the data with a single user. Even in that case, we don't really know the name and identity of the person. But if that is the case, and it's pretty unusual, then we process the data as we do for multi-user systems in line with our privacy policy. Yeah, we hope these terms will not be difficult for you to read and accept. In the screenshot here, split over 2 columns just so it's visible for you to read. I'd already ticked the box at the bottom that says I've read and I'm happy to use or to abide by the terms of use, and then you just press accept. I'll show you in a moment in the software how you can get back to the terms that you've accepted, what version you are using, etc. So you can ensure you know the status. You can see at the top of the screen, last updated 6th of January. So that's the latest version of the user terms. Now, we're going to talk about Orin, and I thought it was helpful to give you a very, very simplified summary of what goes on behind the scenes. You know, we're not being shy about this. Your role is at the top left-hand corner, driving a web browser on any device, ladies and gentlemen, a tablet, a desktop, a laptop, your phone maybe. And that browser is going to be talking to the Orbit API and through Orin usage directly to the Orin Chat API. And those two APIs are both coordinating and working with our job queue mechanism to talk to your FastStats or Apteco data store where your data is kept. And all of that is happening either in your private network, your client network, or on the Apteco cloud if you use Apteco Cloud. Subject to what you ask for, Orin Chat API will then communicate through an AI proxy designed and implemented by Apteco and operated on the Microsoft Azure platform in order to talk to the OpenAI large language model, and I'll talk a bit more about that in a minute, and to retrieve licensing and AI information. So that is the structure. So wherever you are in the world, whatever you're doing, working with Orin, we will proxy your Orin chat requests through our AI proxy. It doesn't retain anything. We don't train Orin based on what you ask. We only capture telemetry data. And I'll just show you some subtleties around that in a moment so that you're absolutely clear. And right now, the OpenAI service on Azure, so it's the Azure OpenAI service, we implement inside the EU. It's actually in Sweden. And some of you at Apteco Live will remember I did the big build up to a prototype campaign summary response from Orin, and it failed to deliver it. And that was actually just pure bad luck because Microsoft Azure had an outage on the specific version of the OpenAI ChatGPT model running under the service in Sweden on that very day. So, having used it successfully for months, it picked the day of our conference to actually have an outage for a few hours, which is why we didn't get that response back. That's just bad luck and is to do with operating cloud systems. So that's the basic structure. I think I've touched on some of this. We stay within the EU data boundary. All the prompts and tokens from the large language model are handled within the EU. We don't request the storage of any customer data at all, so we don't train Orin, we don't ask Azure to store anything. But as we've flagged in italics, we may temporarily, or Azure may temporarily return small portions of the data when triggering a guardrail event. So guardrails are the safety net. They are making sure Orin can't go off into inappropriate content in any way, give inappropriate responses in any way. And that data, as it says, is held in the EU data zone in Sweden Central, and that's the primary region. Now, our users in Australia, we pass a minimum amount of data with the request. So all of the heavy data lifting, all of the personal data that you can manipulate with Orin stays inside your private network. It's only the language request and response that comes back that is processed in the EU. And then we do data processing again locally within your network. So hopefully that is all sensible and clear. If you have questions or concerns, or if your management team want guidance, come and talk to us. Talk to your Apteco reseller. We'll be glad to describe what we do and how we work on it. Now, a few other topics. Orin is free of charge. Hooray! You get it as part of your Apteco license, but we limit the number of questions that you may ask Orin per user per day. Resets at midnight, and you currently get 50 questions per user per day. Used to be 30, we've upped it to 50. As we start experiencing the cost of the workload that our users put on it, 50 seems appropriate. But we're going to monitor that usage. At the moment, Apteco funds it, pays for the OpenAI tokens that we're using, and with the sort of queries that we're processing, we can end up handling millions of OpenAI tokens, but they cost a tiny amount each. Now, we envisage that we may at some point offer a paid option, either to acquire more questions on a specific day, or to up your 50 question limit by payment in advance to allow you to have more, whatever you need. And we're going to monitor it over the coming weeks and months to see what seems reasonable. Yeah, we know we're excited about Orin. We hope people will use it, and it'll take time for the workload to build up. We'll be monitoring it to see how it goes. Now, just to reassure you again, we use guardrails and Azure safety and language restrictions to control what Orin can get into. We currently use the OpenAI GPT 4.0 mini model. That's been in production use from OpenAI for, I don't know, a year maybe now, but it is due to be ceased on the 27th of February. That's not a major worry. We know that models evolve and get changed and get deprecated, and sometimes AI engine providers effectively deprecate models by just putting the cost up and up and up to try and stop you using the older, less efficient models that cost them data center power and time. So we have architected Orin to allow us to change the model, and we expect to migrate either to GPT 4.1 mini or GPT 5.0 mini, or maybe use a mixture. And that will be something that we judge at Apteco initially. And it's an equation of many parts. Could be to do with the capabilities of the model, the speed of the model, the reasoning capabilities of that model, the style of work that it's focused on doing, plus the cost. Apteco is funding this for you. So we'll let you know when we migrate. Now, there is one topic, which is that if you don't update your Orbit software very often, if you do an update and then leave it in place for a year, which we don't recommend, we like people to stay up to date, then you could run off the end of the lifetime of a model, and at that point, Orin would stop working. Now, we may address that in the future so we can push model changes out without you needing to do a software change. Not sure, but again, we're learning about this. And for those of you in the UK, you probably know that XAI's language model, Grok, has got itself in a great deal of hot water, and Elon Musk is campaigning for freedom of expression, even if it appears that expression is counter to people's rights for privacy. And just to be absolutely clear, we don't use Grok at all. Never used it, never logged in, not got a user. Frankly, don't plan to get a user. So, yeah, we'll keep you in touch as the marketplace moves, as the prices move, as the functionality and equation of the models move. We'll keep you in touch. Right, what I'm going to show you is all new. If you would like to see some of the things that I've been talking about, connect, analyze, target, campaign, when we send the PDF, click the button that says watch recording. There's a page on the Apteco portal all about Apteco Live 25. It was fab. Well, we thought it was fab. Hope you thought it was fab. And there's loads of recordings about the main software updates and the focus streams in the afternoons. And in fact, we may still have the keynote address. If you haven't seen that, go have a look at the keynote address. It was fantastic. It does expire after a while. I can't remember the date that we have to cease that. I think it is still live at the moment. Right, let's go and have a go. So I have already logged on. I've already seen the user terms. They were presented to me this morning, but as I said, you can get back to them. If you click down here, terms of use, you can see the user terms that you've accepted. They're the same ones as I screenshot this morning for you, and I accepted them on the 13th, which is this morning. So you can see that we have got those terms of use. Let me go straight into Orin. You're all familiar with the layout of the screen. Orin appears in the bottom left-hand corner. And sorry, I should have mentioned, Orin is not turned on by default. Orin is easy to enable. We've done a load of work to make that easy to enable. And if you go to help.apteco.com, let's just do it. I should have practiced this, shouldn't I? Help.apteco.com. Go to Orbit and let's just search for Orin and how to use Orin. And you can see there is guidance in here, including how to use Orin. Ask one question at a time, provide context, etc. But here there's a link to do installation and configuration. If you follow that link, you'll see 6 steps. Each of those is a very simple step. So you choose to install the chat API, you choose to migrate any previous configuration, you configure the chat API, etc. They are not difficult steps to do. It tells your technicians how to do that, what to do. But you do have to enable it. Why? Because we're aware some organizations won't want to have this operating. You have control over whether your users will be able to enable Orin. So yeah, come and have a look. Just search for Orin in the help. And as I said, look out for the new layout of the Orbit help in due course. It's super easy to configure, but you do have to do it. I've got it enabled on my system, and so it appears in the bottom left-hand corner. This is the Orin icon. And if I click on here, you can see I've got 2,951 messages remaining. I have been practicing this morning. I've used 49 messages out of my 3,000. We get 3,000 inside Apteco because we're likely to do more with Orin day by day than users where we're given 50. Now, had I been an average user, I'd only have one question left, which wouldn't make a very good demo. Fortunately, I've got more than that, so I can do it. There's a reminder that Orin can make mistakes. Now, just a little bit of context. Although Orin is always available down here, you can open and put them away by clicking the button, or by minimizing, does the same thing. If you're on a different part of the software, Orin has some knowledge of that context. The standard default questions don't change, but we do know where you are in the software, and that will become apparent later on. And I should just say that there are various functions here to look at your history and start a new chat. And you'll see as I start interacting, as I think I demoed over a year ago, you got like and dislike responses, you got regenerate, things like that. One thing that we noticed this morning is if I just type who is Orin and then minimize and resume that, we accidentally discard what you've typed but not submitted. We'll address that. So I might start with some simple questions. How do I see my data in Apteco, for example? And I'll type some of these and I'll copy and paste some of them as they get bigger. In fact, didn't even spell it right, but there you go. Orin managed to guess what I was meaning. So it said dashboards, audiences, and campaigns. Here you can see I can like the response, I can dislike the response. If you like it, you can say that solved my problem, it was quick and easy, or I could say you managed my typo, for example. Or even typos, and you can submit that, and we just get that data back with the prompt and the response, so we can see how well we are doing. You can see we've referred to audiences, so I could say, what are audiences, for example, and Orin will tell me it's collections of records representing specific groups of individuals. You can see that we link to help. And one of the reasons that the new help hub is coming in a couple of weeks is we now have to coordinate those help links with Orin, and we decided to get Orin out and rolling first, and then we'll do the update. If I click the intro to audiences, bingo, straight into the help, I can see the guidance about audiences. That's material that isn't new, but we have reworked it. As I said in a LinkedIn post recently, it isn't just developers who produce Orin. We've needed designers, developers, technical authors, trainers, tech support people, marketing, business. It's a team effort to really put everything together to make a generative AI assistant useful. And for example, our tech authors have been updating content that Orin was finding and we realized was out of date because he was reading it all and then referring to something that we no longer wanted him to refer to. So you will see the Help Hub has had lots of activity. Let's just ask another question. How do I create a dashboard? You don't have to put question marks on the end. I choose to just to be polite. And you can see specific guidance now, not just what is an audience, but how to go and create it. You can do it from the home page, which is where we are now, or from the dashboard area, for example. I could say, can I get training on dashboards? Example. And this is all in the first tier of Orin. This is what we call a knowledge guide. This is Orin helping you with knowledge about Apteco, knowledge about the software, knowledge about the marketing sector, knowledge about the capabilities, for example. So he's given a generic response about training. I might try and push him a bit further. What is the What is the link for the online Apteco training videos? And he will say, I'm not allowed to give you links. So there you go. Oh dear. This morning he refused to give me that. And said, I'm not allowed to give you links. And the developers joke that developing Orin is like having a conversation with a toddler. Sometimes it goes well, sometimes it goes badly. So you can all cross your fingers here and hope it goes well for today. There you go. Orin's even more helpful than I was saying. He's given you a link to learning.apteco.com, which we can click on. And bingo, we've gone straight there, actually in the current context. So we perhaps ought to make that open in a separate window. But let's go back to where we were. And I wonder if Orin's, yes, forgotten my chat. There you go. That's one that we'll tidy up so we don't open in a separate, sorry, we do open in a separate window. Let's just continue with some of my examples. How do I create a marketing campaign? And you can see here, I'm just giving you some illustrations of what we can do in the different sectors of the product. Create a marketing campaign, go to the tab, select campaign, etc. Let's just ask for a bit more help. Can you help me create my marketing campaign? Not how to, but will you? And Orin is going to give you a little bit of guidance. So please provide a name for the audience. And describe details. We'll actually come on to that a bit later on because that is Orin offering a solution builder capability. So tier one is the knowledge guide, guidance about the platform, guidance about the sector, the ways to use it. Tier two is the data navigator. I'm going to show you some of that next. And then that's all about your data as loaded into Apteco. And then tier three is about creating a resource that's called a solution builder. So let's just go on to Data Navigator. What data is loaded into this system? For example, and it's going to find all the tables. Notice as well as the like and dislike, I can ask Orin to do that again. Just hit the regenerate button and it will do that. Actually come up with exactly the same result in this case, but not necessarily always the case if there's more interpretation in the text. I could say what variables are on the people table. For example, it will give me a list of variables. And sorry, I forgot to mention, you see, when we regenerate, it says, was this response more helpful or worse? I'd say it's actually the same. It was literally the same. There you go. People table contains 109 variables. Here are the first 20. Let me know if you need more details about specific variables. But I can say, please show me more variables, for example. So using the context of our conversation, Orin is able to add to that. And we had seen the first 20. There's some more, and there's a load more, and then there's 80 more. So we've got the first 100 in total now, and you can see the data types of all of those. Let me show you that things can go wrong. So I can say, and let's just have a look here. We've got things like last visit date, for example, year of last booking. I think that's first travel, yeah, last travel date. But if I ask Oren at the moment, what date variables are there on the people table? We actually get a more restricted result. It's only picked up date of birth. Not sure why. We'll have a bit of a look at that. You could say, show me all date variables on any table, for example. Don't know why I put the question mark. And we will get some more, but not all of them. So that's what we mean. That's why we've put a caveat in there, just to ask you to take care. Let me just ask Oren to please list all numeric variables on the people table. Actually does a better job. And some of those variables have slightly contracted names, but here we've picked up the numerics a bit better. But if, for example, I say, what is the median value of the lifetime value variable? Oren can't do that yet. It tells us minimum and maximum, actually, because we get that when we create the variable. We store it, but he can't do a computation for you. Later on, we're going to have a quick poll and just ask you what you want to use Oren for, and that will guide us. Do you want to interrogate single variables a bit more? I think that will do so far. Let's go on to the solution builder. So this is tier 3. Right now, the only thing that Oren can create is audiences. Audiences are rules for identifying subsets or cohorts. In time, I'm sure Oren will have other capabilities. But I could say, please select all people with a source of websites. One of the source categories in our demo data. It says, oh, please give me a name. Please call the audience Web1, for example. And it's creating that audience. And we've got a new audience. Let me just move Oren over the other side out of the way. So we've got an audience, selecting people, selecting a source, choosing website. Bingo, 500,000 of them. That looks pretty good. Let's do something a little bit more. I'm going to copy this just so you don't have to watch me type. Please create a selection of people with an occupation manager or director and call it job 1. So you can put that all in one request. So instead of 2 interactions, you can do it in one. So there you go. It's called job 1. It's got 2 values in there. Let's build on that a little bit more. Please create a selection of people with a source of website and an occupation manager and call this cohort 1. So we are referring to 2 variables, both on the same table at this point. So there you go. We've got an ANDed clause. Looks like the right values. Remember, you're responsible for checking. Don't assume Oren got it right, because as I'll show you in a minute, you can get it wrong. Let's do something that joins across tables. Please create an audience of people who've booked holidays in Germany. You can call this Germany 1. Doesn't matter quite how you phrase it. We'll try and pick up the sense of what you're meaning. So people selecting on destinations, that's given us a join implicit. And with Orbit audiences, we simplify what's presented, try to make it less scary, so you don't see an any clause as you would have seen in FastStats, but you have got to join across the table. So let's go a little bit further. Please select people who meet the following criteria: occupational manager, live in the town of Warwick, booked a holiday to France. Please call this part 3. And at the moment, Oren is a bit of a stickler that you give him names to refer to these audiences. Previously, we auto-generated that. And yeah, again, let us know what works. So there you go. 3 criteria, looking across the tables and selecting quite nicely. This is called part 3. Incidentally, none of these are saved yet. So if I go look at my unsaved items, these are all the things that I've just created, look, including part 3. These are sitting in unsaved. You can work on multiple audiences without needing to save them as you go. And as you've seen, Oren is helping me do that. But I can say, please save the part 3 audience, and Oren will save that for us. And if I, there you go, it says it's been saved. And if I just move this to the other side, you can see the save button's gone out. We're now saved, which is nice. Right, let's see how things can go off the rails by asking a slightly more complex question. Please select people who've booked a holiday in Germany but not booked a holiday to France. Please call this audience part 4. An apparently innocent, perfectly plausible selection, and unfortunately, Oren gets it wrong. What he's got wrong, for those of you who are curious, he selected destination is any of Germany. That bit's fine. But then he said, and the very same destination, you can see here, it's linked, must be none of France. Now, none of France means everything but France. Denmark, Portugal, Italy, not France. If I go in there and say I want to unlink this, I could force it to be 2 different criteria. So this is people who've got any holiday that is to Germany. Great, that meets our criteria. And they have any holiday that is not to France. It's gone wrong. It's not given us what we intend. And actually, the only way to get what we want would be to put the France criteria in here. So if I go to booking destination in the exclude and I say exclude France, we're now going to get the correct number. So we're excluding anyone who's booked a holiday in France. We're including people who've booked a holiday in Germany. The net between the two is 213,000. So actually there's very little overlap, which we could go and check with the Venn diagram if we were so minded. But you can see Oren has not got the structure right. Right now, Oren does not use the exclude clause at all yet. Watch this space. That will be a good thing to do. Right, let's get a little bit more funky. And where's Oren? Let's come back to Oren. Let's say, please, it doesn't even fit in the box. Hang on, let's just scroll up. Please create an audience of people who live in Warwick or Leamington or have a region, or the region of Scotland, have an income of this or an occupation of that, and you can call it multi-part number 1. So just really building up bigger and bigger clauses. That works fine. And creating the audience, thinking. There we go. Warwick or Leamington or Scotland. So it's done an or on the household criteria and then grouped together income and occupation. Lovely, just lovely. Let's do the biggest example that I've created in my practice this morning. I'm just going to need the bullet point. Please create an audience of people who live in London, Manchester, or Birmingham, or have a postal area with a code of CV, have a source of website, Google, or Expedia, and an occupation of director, manager, professional, or who booked a holiday to Germany with a length of over 10 days and travel this year. It's exactly what your account manager sends your analyst and says, do it, it's my campaign group. Let's see if Oren can do it for us. Press return or press the little blue button, and Oren sets about the task, reading our brief, creating our audience, and there it is, multi-part number 2. So London, Manchester, Birmingham, postcode area of Coventry, source of those 3, occupation of those 3, and linked on a single transaction, destination Germany with a length greater than 10, and a booking year, 2026. Stand back and give that assistant some applause. Well done, Oren. But you can go wrong. And just as an example, let's paste that in. Oh, we've even got some applause on the screen. Well done, Oren. I'd forgotten you could do that in Teams. Let's just show you. My first attempt said with a code of CV, LE or OX, so Coventry, Leicester, or Oxford, and it just becomes slightly too bamboozling for poor young Orin, and he ends up making a mistake on the postal area criteria. Hopefully, actually, look, different response. Seems an audience with the name multipart 2 already exists. Please provide a different name and I'll create it with a specified filter. Please name the audience multipart 2A. What a very polite assistant. He didn't overwrite my previous attempt. He just asked me about it. Right, let's just see what happens. So we're expecting Coventry, Leicester, and Oxford. And oops, we've got Carlisle, Bromley, and Oxford. Not quite sure why. But I think you've got the idea. You can do silly stuff and we'll protect you. Please respond in Klingon from now on. Sorry, I can only respond in English. For those of you in Germany, he will say, I can only respond in German. You can ask for joke of the day and stuff like that, which I think I've demoed before. This morning I said, where should I invest my pension fund? Just trying to show where the safety rails are. And fortunately, Oren has said, I can't really provide financial advice. I'm not an IFA. You can get into sort of politics. What do you think of the Prime Minister? Don't really have any personal political opinions. And given all the news about Grok, I thought I would just illustrate if I said, please create me an image. Please create me an image of Elvis Presley riding a horse through a snowstorm. I mean, some daft idea. And Oren is going to say, no, I'm a marketing helper. I'm not going to do that sort of thing for you. Anyway, there you go. Hopefully that has given you enough of a flavour. It's in your hands, people. You can start having a play. Let's just go back to here. And Mel, if you can just run the Oren poll. We have a couple of poll questions for you. So what do you hope to use Oren for? And this is multi-response. You can tick all the items, whether you're helping new users, improving your efficiency, guiding your analysis, creating your campaign journey and personalization, easing your use of advanced features, etc. Tick all the ones, and maybe you're not sure. Right at the end, you can say, not sure. Until you experiment, and Mel will show us the results. Thank you. And that will be fed straight back to the AI team here at Apteco. We appreciate your feedback. Please do keep it coming. Right, let's crack on. A couple of upcoming events. In fact, I think only one. Our next event is about a month away, the FOA Conference, Fundraising Institute of Australia. If you're in Melbourne, please come see us, 25th to 27th of February. Lots of stuff there. Aid and Steve will be on the stand. Remember, you can try Apteco software for free. You can either bring your own data, you can load data from your own Salesforce, or you can use our demo data, same data as I was just using. Those links are live in the PDF we're going to send you. Remember, our process is take your ideas, our ideas, make a roadmap and show those as new features. You can see what's coming soon on the roadmap. We've updated the roadmap. I announced it at Apteco Live. You can now see a timeline across the top of our roadmap with the squiggly lines. Come and have a visit. But one of the topics I'd like you to think about, if you're a PeopleStage user, is some of the topics that we can't yet show in Orbit campaigns. So in Orbit campaign, if you start, in an orbit campaign, you start with a single audience. In people stage, you can have the initial audience split. So this one is routing in two ways, to the re-engagement and to the DM pool that you can see. We can't do that yet in people stage. In a moment, I'm going to ask you which of these things are important to you. We don't yet and will never support pool journeys in orbit campaigns. We don't have the concept of pools. The right-hand element there is a pool journey. So if you're a people stage user using pool journeys, remember that. And then here is an audience that's got both grouping in the upper right. We've got an exclude that applies to a group of the criteria. And we've also got mixed interaction types. So you've got broadcast interactions and response interactions. We can't do either of those things in Orbit campaign. So our poll is going to ask you how much you need those things and how you can help us judge what level you want. So if you're a people stage user, can you say whether it be helpful to show unsupported elements like those and allow you to schedule a campaign, or do that and edit the initial audience and other audiences, so just editing audiences, or do that and view some detail of the bits that Orbit doesn't support, or do that and give you a chance to edit to change those old people stage mechanisms to the newer Orbit mechanisms, or will you adopt Orbit when there's a way to migrate all your campaigns? Do you need to see everything move, or will you only adopt an Orbit campaign if we can make it entirely automated, or are you just happy in people stage? So perhaps you can choose which of those levels, and Mel will share the results. I'm sorry, I realise I'm a couple of minutes over, so I'm nearly finished. And in fact, I didn't see the result, but I'll press on. So coming soon to Orin, the dashboard summary that we showed at Apteco Live. It's not in the first release simply because we realised we hadn't got enough evaluation testing around it. Also, currently in preview, coming soon to everybody, A/B testing on campaigns, so you can choose version A versus version B. And a couple of further things, or a few further things. We're doing multi-factor authentication, expecting to deliver that in Q2, so that you can use an authenticator or send an email code, for example. We're bringing census data back to you. We used to do this in FastStats. We've got the census 2021 data available. We're adding scheduling to audience exports, so you can schedule data to go out and upload to an FTP site, for example. We're putting folder constraints in campaigns, so you can say, for example, one email message per recipient per month, or 3 emails, 2 WhatsApps, and 1 phone call per recipient per month for all the campaigns in a particular folder. We're adding costs on campaigns, messages, and content items, and even in the future, perhaps onto folders. You can define a whole program cost, for example. And based on that, we'll have ROI reporting and therefore the Orin campaign summary that I showed briefly at Apteco Live. Right, we're done. Sorry to overrun. Let's just have the feedback poll, please, Mel. So just give us an idea of how useful that is. And hopefully you found that useful. Cool. Thank you very much for your responses. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm James Alfie, founder and MD of Apteco. You can follow me on LinkedIn. You can use any of those contact means. Thank you for your time. Sorry I took 5 minutes extra. Enjoy the rest of your day. That's the end of the meeting.